At around midnight of 2nd-3rd December 1984, a poisonous gas leaked from US multinational Union Carbide's pesticide factory in Bhopal. Safety systems were not installed. The gas, without warning, hit the residents of Bhopal. Many did not wake up. More than 8,000 people were killed within days of the leak. About 500,000 people were exposed to the poisonous gas. At the time of leak, Union Carbide's doctors claimed that the chemicals were like tear gas and that the effects would wear off. Today, more than 2 decades after the disaster, those exposed to the gas and even their children continue to suffer serious health effects. In its hurry to escape, Union Carbide left its toxic waste and chemicals strewn in and around the Bhopal factory site. They remain in place till date, leaching poisonous chemicals into the environment and groundwater, creating a new generation of victims. Despite 20 years of complaints, the Government of India has not lifted a finger to contain the contamination and protect Bhopal residents. Hand pumps and borewells in the region are yielding water that has dangerous levels of poisonous chemicals. In the months and years that followed, criminal charges were framed against Union Carbide and its then chairman, Warren Anderson, who ran away to the US. In 1992, the Bhopal court issued a proclamation that Union Carbide is an absconder. The Government of India added its crime to the crimes of Union Carbide by settling with Carbide for a pittance in compensation in a secret negotiation with the company. On an average, Bhopal victims were to receive about Rs 50,000 for lifelong illness or death. No stringent action was taken against Union Carbide or its officers because the Indian government did not want to scare away US investment, even if it meant sacrificing the interests of its own people. That disdain for justice in Bhopal and the greed for US investment continued till date. The criminal trials against Union Carbide and Warren Anderson are proceeding at the snail's pace because the Government of India is too scared to pursue US corporations or citizens. Even while Abu Salem's extradition is being pursued with all vigor, American accused in the Bhopal case are being let off by the Indian government despite judicial pressure. In February 2001, Union Carbide became a wholly owned subsidiary of US multinational Dow Chemical, thereby acquiring all its assets and liabilities. However, Dow has till date refused to do anything to do with Bhopal tragedy. Despite the outstanding criminal charges against Union Carbide in India, Dow Chemical acquired the company and has actively shielded it for 3 years from having to appear in Bhopal to face trial. In January 2005, the Chief Judicial Magistrate of Bhopal issued a summons to Dow Chemical, requiring the company to produce Union Carbide in Bhopal. Rather than assist the court in expanding this long-pending trial against a company that is accused of the world's worst industrial disaster, the Indian government is considering to strengthen business deals with Dow Chemicals. The company has reportedly been shortlisted as technology supplier for Indian Oil Corporation and is talking of plans to tie up with GAIL and ONGC. The technology that Indian Oil proposes to procure from Dow is originally a Union Carbide technology. By doing business with Dow, Indian Oil is facilitating a backdoor entry for Union Carbide into India. Dow Chemical is itself associated with a long list of human rights violations. It was the chief supplier of Agent Orange, a deadly chemical cocktail that was sprayed by the American military over Vietnam to poison their food supplies and destroy forests. An estimated 5 lakh Vietnamese children suffer serious deformities. In another instance, Dow continued to produce and market the hazardous pesticide dibromchloropropane (DBCP) for export to developing countries for years after it was banned in the US in 1979. The US ban occurred after DBCP was proved to cause sterility among men. Continuing its practice of environmental racism, Dow is now producing and marketing a toxic pesticide, Dursban, in India. Dursban was banned for use in households in the US after it was found to hurt the mental and intellectual development of children. Students and youth in Tamil Nadu are unhappy with the government's continued indifference to the plight of Bhopalis.
Union Carbide, which played havoc with many lives in Bhopal, is re-entering India in the name of Dow Chemicals. We know Indian Oil Corporation is a public sector unit, and the funds and the capital of the company is paid by us, we Indians. We Indians, having paid the capital to the Indian Oil Corporation, are going to suffer because Indian Oil Corporation has put a contract with Dow Chemicals, which is against the basic question of democracy.
இப்பேற்பட்ட கம்பெனிகள் இங்க வந்துட்டு எங்களை போல மனித இனத்தை அழிக்கிறதுக்கு காத்துட்டு இருக்க பொழுது அதை மணிசங்கர் ஐயரும் இப்பேற்பட்ட சுயநல விரும்பிகளும் உள்ள கொண்டு வரும்பொழுது கண்டிப்பா எங்களுக்கு எங்க மனித சமுதாயத்தை அழிக்கின்றது உண்மை. இப்படிப்பட்ட விஷயங்களை கண்டிப்பா மாணவர்களாகிய நாங்க ஒருபோது ஒத்துக்க மாட்டோம். இப்பேற்பட்ட விஷயங்களுக்கு எங்களுடைய மாணவர் இயக்கங்களும் மாணவர்களும் கண்டிப்பா துணை நின்று எதிர்ப்போம்.
Blacklisting Dow Chemicals and Union Carbide and any other company which has a very bad track record on environmental issues, which would in turn help the environmental status of the world and would lead to better living status of the human being.
I would like to appeal to the government and the petroleum minister to blacklist Dow Chemicals and other such companies who are encouraging and actually they are removing the seriousness and the impact that a tragedy like this has managed to create. So such companies should be blacklisted, they should be banned, and as students we should make sure that we do not go and work for such companies just because we are offered a lot of salary.
The government is actually striking deal with Dow company, which in turn is the mother company of Union Carbide. So this in turn is something like government striking a deal with Union Carbide. Right now we are fighting for justice against Union Carbide for the past 20 years, and if we strike a deal with Dow, that in turn is Union Carbide, it will be something like demoralizing the people and just hurting their feelings basically. So the government must basically choose between helping them in supporting the people or supporting the company. If the government still goes with the company, that's the Dow company, it's hypocrisy on its part. So it's basically up to the government to choose between the people and the company.
Bhopal issue has taken me very badly.
We should blacklist Dow from doing any business in India, especially the public sector companies. And Dow should be made to clean up the factory, the Union Carbide factory that's still existing in Bhopal, still hasn't been cleaned up, hasn't provided for due compensation and long-term medical rehabilitation of the people affected by the Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984.
We shouldn't have another giant loss in the population of India through this tragedy, which is going to happen if this company is going to come in.
இந்த மாதிரி கம்பெனிஸ்லாம் ஒரு பிளாக் லிஸ்ட்டில் சேர்த்து அது இது மாதிரி நம்ம வர விடாமல் அப்போசிஷன் கொடுத்து இந்த கம்பெனிஸ்லாம் நம்ம இந்தியாவுக்குள்ளே வராமல் தடுக்கணும். இன்னொரு போபால் நம்ம உருவாக்க விடக்கூடாது.
Should not even think about going into collaboration with Dow.
இந்த கம்பெனியை கண்டிப்பாக பிளாக் லிஸ்ட்டில் சேர்த்த வேண்டிய கம்பெனி அதோட கொலாபரேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு நம்ம கண்டிப்பாக ஒத்துக்க முடியாது. ஸோ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் கண்டிப்பாக சேர்ந்து இதுக்கு ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் பண்ணியே தீர்வோம். மிஸ்டர் மணிசங்கர் ஐயர், who we recently voted to power, who calls himself a staunch congressman, goes against the basic principles of Gandhiism by bringing in a killer who just refuses to accept Indian laws. So we students, and more than that, we citizens of India should take in the responsibility of throwing out a demon and safeguarding our country. It is just not a social awareness or a social work we are doing. It is just the responsibility of us students to look into the matter and just pick out the weeds. Our aim should be to make the government include Dow Chemicals under the blacklist, which would prohibit the company from doing any business in India, and again, as usual, claiming any lives. Then another thing is, we have seen the process of globalization taking many lives and questioning the basic ethic values from the 1990s. This seems to be the killer blow, which questions the basic ethics of humanity. A company which killed thousands in our country is simply just allowed to get in. So this is our killer blow, and this is the time to rise in. So we students should unite and just give a death knell to the company.
We should be responsible citizens, and we should completely make sure that such companies are removed from the country, so that tragedies like Bhopal don't happen again.
International company getting into Indian petroleum companies, it is not at all needed.
We hate the collaboration. We don't like the collaboration of this Indian Oil Corporation and the Dow Chemicals in India.
I just want all the students of our India to join hands with me to start a revolution, a movement against the criminalization of our own Indian companies, the joining hands of Dow Chemicals and our own Indian Oil Corporation. I also request one thing to our own minister, Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer. He's one of the main person. He's very much instrumental. He's very much interested in bringing these two companies together, the Dow Chemical and Indian Oil Corporation. I make a sincere request to him. I honorize him. Please do not do this. Do not take the lives of thousands of more Indians. Please, Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer, if you are listening to me, do not join hands with the Dow Chemicals. Let them be away from India. Let us be a clean country.